We're live.
Okay. Then we'll convene the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, February 18th, 2021. Present on this Zoom meeting from the township are Ed McGargy, a voting member, Jessica Vitale, a voting member, Jesse Poynton, a voting member, Bill Malone, our solicitor, Kelly Kirk, code enforcement, community development officer. Is that right, Cal?
It works. It's fine.
For Haverford Township, and Arlene La Rosa, our court reporter. I believe Bill Rhodes will be joining, but I don't believe he's present at the moment. So how about if we do the pledge real quick? Ed McGargy, you want to lead us in the pledge?
Yes, I will.
Okay. Go for it, Ed.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thanks, Ed. Okay, we have one continued and one new case this evening. Our continued case is Z18-27, the Haverford School, owners of a parcel of land adjacent to 539 Panmure Road, Haverford, PA, who request the zoning hearing board allow the reinstatement or extension of zoning hearing order Z18-27, authorizing the temporary use of the tennis courts for modular classrooms. Property is zoned institutional and R1A and located in the 5th ward. So who do we have on behalf of Haverford School?
Jim, you're muted.
Should I talk?
Yes.
I'm Dr. John.
Can you hear me now, Cal?
Yep.
Hey,
Thank
Jim.
you.
So who do we have present for this hearing?
I have one witness, Dr. John Nagel.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, please?
Dr. John Nagel, N-A-G-L.
And would you just enter your appearance so Arlene could get it for the record?
Yes, I'm Jim, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm Jim Edelson, Senior Counsel at the law firm of Royer, Cooper, Cohen, and Braunfeld.
Okay.
And as I said, here representing the Haverford School, which is the owner of the property located at 450 Lancaster Avenue in Haverford. And
Okay.
the portion that we're discussing this evening is located in Haverford Township on a parcel adjacent to 539 Panmure Road. And with your permission, we'll proceed, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. And John Nagel will be your first witness.
Yes.
John, are you there?
I am, sir.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do, sir.
Okay. Go ahead, Jim. Please proceed.
Thank you. As I said, Mr. Chairman, we're here this evening to request the zoning hearing board's approval on a reinstatement or extension of the board's order Z18-27, which authorized the use of the tennis courts for temporary modular classrooms in zone, the institutional zone /R3 in Ward 5, and to allow these modular classrooms to remain on the tennis courts until the summer of 2022. The original request in 2018 was made to use these facilities during the school's construction of a new middle school in the center of the campus located in Lower Merion Township. The middle school was successfully completed, but as you can imagine, the situation and restrictions this past year with respect to the requirements resulting from the coronavirus pandemic greatly impacted the school's ability to safely and efficiently operate, particularly with respect to the social distancing and spacing requirements. Fortunately, the use of these modular classrooms has allowed the school to minimize disruption to the students and meet the instructional challenges with no increase in impact both on and off campus. To provide a description of these efforts and answer your questions with respect to this request, As we said, I'm joined by Dr. John Noggle, who is the headmaster of the Haverford School, representing the owner. And with your permission, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to call him as our only witness.
Please do. You can proceed, Jim.
Dr. Noggle, for the record, would you please provide your name?
John Albert Noggle.
And can you tell the board your title and role at the Haverford School?
I am the 9th head of the Haverford School, responsible for everything the school does and fails to do.
And how long have you been in that position?
I am in my 8th year.
And is it fair to say that you're here representing the applicant, which is the owner of the subject property?
It is.
Dr. Noggle, would you please provide the board with a brief description of the circumstances, conditions, and operation at the school as a result of the pandemic which led to this application?
So what a year. We constructed the new middle school on time and on budget. We did have to shut down for an outbreak of COVID among the construction crew. At one point, we did have to shut down when we were ordered to shut down by the governor at one point, as all construction projects were. Nonetheless, we finished the project on time and opened on opening day with a full complement of middle school boys. And because we built the building, the new building, we had enough room to spread all of our middle school boys out 6 feet apart across all of the classrooms in the bigger building. And so that was fantastic. That was the good news. The bad news was the upper school, which we built some 10, 12 years ago, was not big enough, did not have enough classrooms for us to socially distance all of our upper school boys with the required 6 feet. And so we decided to keep the modular classrooms, which we called Virtue Village, on the tennis courts and put upper school boys in them for the year of COVID. And when we talked to you, when we asked your permission to put that building, that temporary building on the tennis courts, we extended it further than we actually thought we need to, just in case something bad happened in construction. We didn't foresee COVID. As it turns out, because of those modular classrooms, we've been able to bring every boy on campus every day. And we understand how fortunate we are and how fortunate our boys are to have that space and to have that opportunity. It has not been a normal year by any means, but their year of learning has been disrupted less as a result of the new building we built and the temporary classrooms we've been able to put them in. We now sadly do not believe that COVID is going to come to an end by this coming fall. We believe that all of the adults will be vaccinated, but they're just starting clinical trials on children now. And we believe we can't tell whether we're still going to need 6 feet or whether perhaps the Centers for Disease Control are going to allow us 3 feet. If it's 3 feet, oh my goodness, we will get rid of the temporary classrooms as fast as we possibly can. My tennis team and my tennis parents are super mad at me. But until we get that permission, if we remove the temporary classrooms, we would have to go to a hybrid schedule for our upper school if we're required to maintain 6 feet of social distance.
So then is it fair to say, Dr. Noggle, that the temporary use of these modular classrooms during this proposed extended time period is really necessary to accommodate and address these conditions you've described?
Under current CDC guidance, which was just updated this past weekend, as you may know, we are still required to maintain 6 feet of social distancing. Without the classrooms, we will not be able to bring every upper school boy on campus every day. We'd have to switch to hybrid.
And just a couple of questions for the record. With respect to the projected operation of the school during this proposed extension, is it fair to say that the approval of this request by the board will not result in any increase in the middle school population?
That is correct. And in fact, we are having to reduce our enrollment even with Virtue Village, even with the temporary classrooms, because of the maximum number of children you can put into each classroom with the 6 feet. And so we have waiting lists for a number of our lower school grades now, which is a new phenomenon for us.
And also with no planned change in population, is it fair to say there is no planned change in the amount and frequency of any public access such as teachers, staff, or the public?
That is correct. In fact, we are not allowing the public on campus in order to minimize the chances of COVID transmission.
And additionally, no planned change in days and hours of operation?
That is also correct. Although the weather has been changing our days of operation for us.
And also no planned change in regularly scheduled events other than those commonly associated with like educational institutions. In other words, nothing unique.
That is correct. And again, because of COVID, we're doing a lot fewer activities than we have in the past.
And finally, would it be fair to say that this request for an extended permit time period, which is the subject of this application, is being driven solely by the need for certainty and to ensure the safety and continuity of the educational program at Haverford School during the current pandemic?
It is.
And with that, Mr. Chairman, the board will be happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Ed McGargy?
Yeah, I guess I'm hearing a little differently than what I thought I was listening to. It's the fact is that you have these classrooms and you're not using them for the intended purpose that they were originally approved for. In other words, you approved these, we had these tennis courts approved, classrooms on the tennis courts in order for you to construct your building. That building is done. We know, you're using it for another intended purpose, and I don't think the public has had any opportunity to weigh in on that.
I will not disagree with that assessment, sir.
So does it need to be re-advertised, Bill?
Because it had been so long since their first application, and it is a new use essentially from what they were approved for, we did advertise it just like a regular case and send out notices just like a regular new case would have. So as if we were starting all over with them.
I have no
If it
other
was
question.
if it was advertised as said, I think that's okay.
Jessica?
How many classrooms are you currently using on the tennis courts?
There are 12 in 2 buildings.
And are those all operating at maximum capacity for 6-foot distancing? I guess
No.
I guess my question, I'll just say the question instead of leading you to it is, do you need all 12 classrooms or could you remove a portion of them in the meantime? Is this the minimum you need?
They are not all used every session. And it is possible that we could consolidate further and it's possible that we could drag a trailer or 2 off. I don't yet have solid projections for next year. And honestly, it makes an enormous mess because we have to drag them through a grass football field and we have to stop traffic and clear a street of parking to get them in and out. And so my recommendation to the board would be, and I think we'd have to break the weather tightness, which has been fantastic through some pretty terrible weather. My plea would be to allow us to continue to keep all 12 classrooms.
And do you stagger the sessions in the classrooms for cleaning purposes, or do students tend to stay in the same classroom most days?
So in the lower school and in the middle school, students stay in the same classroom. In the upper school, and we're now using this as an upper school classroom, the students have to rotate. We tried really, really hard, but with language and different math levels, you understand, different, we couldn't make it work. So they do rotate. We make them wipe down. We make them wipe down before they leave, so that they're wiping up their own germs. But we also, as you probably know, we are increasingly convinced the transmission is happening through aerosol and not through surface contaminants. We're also very proud. We've had no student to teacher and no teacher to student transmission on campus. We have sadly had adult to adult transmission on campus. It's the adults you're going to watch.
Okay, I have no further questions.
Jesse?
Yeah, so reading, and I was not on the board when this case was first heard, but I'm reading the buildings were to be removed upon the earlier of the second anniversary of the date hereof, which was September 20th, or within 6 weeks of the receipt of the occupancy permit from Lower Merion Township. When was the occupancy permit for the building received?
Would have been October 2020.
So then the earlier of the date would have been, it should have been removed should have been removed by September 20th, 2020. Is that correct then? Because that's the earlier of the dates.
That's correct.
And today is, and I know that it takes a while to get the board, but we're 5 months past that. Why, I would ask, why did the Haverford School not ask to come before this board last year when you knew that you would want to use these classrooms for the 2020-2021 school year?
I'm going
When
to
you
go.
knew that it would exceed the the requirement of what was approved. Why did you not come for permission to do this then?
I will mea culpa, mea maxima culpa from my school day years. I've never done this before and was focused just on getting the school open and working through COVID. But we will throw ourselves on the mercy of the court. We have no, unless my attorney has a justification.
No, I think there is, obviously, you're correct. I think if we all look at what's been going on over the past year, a number of things came into play. And I think at the time, the school was struggling really to be able to accommodate all of the regulations and things that were changing, the rules that were changing constantly. And I'm assuming, and again, I can't speak for everyone, but their attention was really based on safety and continuity of education at the time, and that was the problem. I also think that I would like to mention, because I think the record should reflect it, at the time that we did apply for this, there was concern about what the impact would be on Panmure Road and what the impact would be on the neighborhood and the various traffic. And there has been absolutely no impact at all, which I think at least puts us in a position to be able to make this request without being concerned that there will be more problems. Or this was something that was addressed at the last zoning hearing, and I think that to the school's credit, and maybe there's a little bit of luck involved there, but there was no major impact.
Okay. Next question, I guess following up on that question, have we received any public comment from any neighbors?
We have not, no.
And the school has received no direct complaints?
None involved with this.
And just as a parent of a Haverford Township public school, I would ask, are you aware that the Haverford Township Public School has been on a hybrid system for the last year?
I am.
And okay, I have no further questions.
All right. Any other questions? Ed,
No other questions.
Jessica,
No other questions.
Jesse, you just said you're done. I have no questions. And your request is to go to the summer of 2022. Can you give me a more precise date?
Our hope, sir, is honestly that either the CDC will relax, and I'm sure everybody, right? I'm conscious of Mr. Poynton's comment. I wish every kid across America were in school in person every day. And my sense is that the CDC may end up relaxing restrictions and allow us to put kids back in classrooms the way they were originally designed for. If that happens, we've set up, so when we get permission from you, we set up our contract with the mobile lease to give them back in December, at the end of December, hoping that we'll be able to do that. It's to our financial advantage. We're dropping a lot of money every month for these. Again, I wish every school in America could do it, but we will get rid of them as soon as we possibly can. Certainly the end of June of 2022 is the very latest. I would hope that the kids will be vaccinated, or all of the adults will be vaccinated, and we'll have achieved herd immunity by the 2022-2023 school year.
Okay. All right. Well, so Bill Malone, are you there?
I am.
I suppose this is something, because I have a question for you, so I may as well hold it to the end. So I'm going to announce a decision either tonight or at our next hearing, but we're going to try to do this tonight. But I want to wait until the end of the hearing at least. So with that, I'll ask if there are any members of the public on this hearing that wish to make any comments. Anyone that received certified mail, regular mail, other residents of Haverford Township. With that, we'll close the record on this case, and a decision will be rendered either this evening or at our next regularly scheduled zoning hearing, which will be on, Cal, do you have a date?
March 4th.
On March 4th.
Thank you.
And that's it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. We appreciate your consideration.
You're welcome. Good luck with everything.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Stay safe, everybody.
You too. All right. Just go right into the next case. Actually, the other item that's listed on the agenda, I may as well just dispose of that administratively real quickly. With respect to case Z21-5, Daniel and Pamela Meenan, owners of 125 Lee Circle, Bryn Mawr, PA, DC folio number 2205-0055200, who seek a variance from the provisions of section 182-205. Sorry about that, Arlene. 182-205C5A to encroach into the required 30-foot front yard setback by 3 feet to construct a 6-foot by 30-foot 3-inch front porch. Property zone R3 and located in the 5th ward. That application was withdrawn by letter dated February 16, 2021. And Bill Malone, do I need to read this letter into the record?
You do not.
Okay, so that case has been, actually, that's not the date of the letter. The date of the letter is February 9, 2021. So that case is withdrawn. Our next case, our one new case this evening, is Z21-4, Carlin and Brandon Graham, owners of 136 Tunbridge Circle, Haverford, PA, DC folio number 2205-0106601, who seek a variance from the provisions of section 182-727C1 to place a portion of fence within the front yard setback of Buck Lane, and to the extent of variance is required, a gate and related fencing within the front yard setback of Tunbridge Road / Circle. Section 182-702, to allow the gate to be installed as proposed at the point of entry to a public road, and any other relief deemed necessary to install the proposed improvements. Property is zoned R1 and located in the 5th ward. So someone from Kaplan Stewart. I
Yes.
understand George is not going to be on, but so who do we have representing the Grahams?
Good evening. My name is Daniel Rowley with Kaplan Stewart. I'm subbing in for George Brosman here tonight, and I represent Carlin and Brandon Graham, who are the applicants and owners of the property located at 136 Tunbridge Road, also sometimes referred to as 136 Tunbridge Circle. In connection with their application here tonight for variance relief, the property that is the subject of tonight's application is located, as was stated, in the R1 low density residential district and is improved with a single family residence and related improvements. The front of the residence is oriented towards Tunbridge Road, and the rear of the residence is oriented towards Buck Lane. The property is irregularly shaped, and it has its vehicular access via a relatively long leg driveway that connects with Tunbridge Road. And the rear of the property abuts Buck Lane, but the property does not have any vehicular access to Buck Lane. The Grahams propose to install an in-ground swimming pool to the rear of their house, and they are also proposing to install a fence that would extend from the front sides of the house and further extend from the rear of the house along the side property lines and along Buck Lane. The fence would enclose the functional rear yard of the property, provide enclosure for the pool, and provide some security for the Grahams. We are also proposing a gate with stone pillars and associated fencing near the entrance from Tunbridge Road in order to provide some additional security. We believe the property is burdened with unnecessary hardships that we'll show in our testimony here tonight that require the requested relief. But as a practical matter, Mr. and Mrs. Graham also have some security concerns given Mr. Graham's public profile as a professional athlete. And we believe those security concerns would be addressed with the proposed project. In order to implement the project, we are here this evening seeking variance relief from the Haverford Township Code. I won't recite the code provisions as they were cited by Chairman Kane. Before I call my first witness tonight, I have a few housekeeping issues I'd just like to run through. And do I have control to share screen? I do. Okay. So I will share my screen. And can everyone see that?
Yes.
Okay. So turning to the exhibit packet, which is on your screens now, Exhibit A1 is the initial zoning hearing board application for this matter, which was filed with the township. After we submitted Exhibit A1, we discussed the application with the zoning officer, who informed us that a variance for impervious coverage that was requested in this initial application was not required. And after these discussions, we filed or submitted a second amended zoning hearing board application, which we are proceeding under tonight. That amended application is found in Exhibit A2. This amended application just removed the previously requested variance for impervious coverage. Exhibit A3, as I scroll through, is a copy of the redacted deed for the property, which show Mr. and Mrs. Graham as the owners of the property. Exhibit A4 is a letter that was requested by the township confirming that myself and Dave Damon, the project engineer, have authorization to represent them in front of the zoning hearing board for this application, as they're unfortunately unable to make it tonight. And with that, I have with me this evening Dave Damon from H. Gilroy Damon Associates Incorporated. And he is the civil engineer for the project. And unless there are any questions for me, I would call Mr. Damon to testify.
So Daniel, yeah, before you do that,
Sure.
is David going to be a fact witness, expert, or present the case?
He's going to be an expert witness.
Okay.
And Mr. Kane, Mr. Damon has testified as an expert before this board in the past.
Yeah.
As well as before very many other boards. If I could
Yeah.
just have you swear in Mr. Damon and answer just a couple questions.
That's where I was going with it, Bill. All right. David,
Yes,
please raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
And your name and the capacity in which you appear this evening for the board, please.
David Price Damon. I'm president of H. Gilroy Damon Associates, Inc.
Go ahead, Bill.
Dave, we've met in the past, both in Haverford Township as well as other townships. And you have in fact been admitted as an expert in those townships, correct? Including, I believe, Ridley, Haverford, Concord, and some others. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And in what capacity were you admitted as an expert? What was your specialty?
Civil engineering and land development planning.
Okay, and since we have last met, and let's lock it down to the last 5 years, have you been denied the ability to testify as an expert in those fields by any entity whatsoever?
No, I haven't.
And have you been censured by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or had your licensure suspended within those past 5 years?
No.
Given Mr. Damon's prior admission as an expert and given the fact that he has not had any change in his status with the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania or with any other townships, I would suggest the board accept him as an expert in the field of civil engineering.
Yeah, unless there's an objection from any of the board members, we'll accept David Damon as an expert engineer in this case. Any questions or comments from the board? Okay. Daniel, are you going to move David's CV into the record?
Yeah, I'll just ask quickly, Mr. Damon, can you identify Exhibit A5, which is on the screen now?
Yes. Guess that's a copy of my CV.
Yeah, so I would ask that that be admitted into the record.
Okay. Well, so I guess we'll admit them A1 through A5, but just remember that's where we left off. So go ahead. Go ahead, Daniel.
Mr. Damon, are you generally familiar with the property and the application that are subject of this evening's hearing?
I am.
Okay, and we'll turn to Exhibit A6. Is this a copy of the zoning plan set that shows the existing and the proposed conditions on the property?
Yes, that's the copy of the zoning plan and the existing features plan. The zoning plan is one that was revised to show the and submitted with the amended zoning hearing application. And the only difference with this plan and the original plan was that we removed the request for the impervious coverage zoning relief and added a section for the variance required for the gate and the pillars in the building setback along Tunbridge Road.
And drawing your attention to our next exhibit, which is Exhibit A7, which is an aerial photo of the property. Could you describe the existing conditions on the property?
The property, it's irregularly shaped, so it's a long, about 500 feet long from north to south. And it has a narrow leg that connects it with Tunbridge Road, contains a driveway. The house itself is oriented with the front of it towards Tunbridge Road, and the rear of the house is oriented towards Buck Lane.
And if we'll backtrack to the proposed plan in Exhibit A6, can you describe for the board what's proposed?
The plan shows a fence that extends from the sides of the house along the east and west side property lines back towards the right-of-way line of Buck Lane, and it's enclosing a proposed pool. And on the south side, a gate with pillars where the driveway accesses Tunbridge Road, and two small sections of fence along the side of that road frontage.
Okay. What zoning relief is necessary to permit the installation of the fence along the Buck Lane area of the property?
That's to allow fence within the front yard setback. So that's from the section, 182, 727 C1.
And are there unique physical circumstances of the property which preclude strict compliance with the zoning code?
The property has two street frontages. The house is oriented towards Tunbridge Road. And the rear is along the Buck Lane, so that the fence is really needed to provide a functional rear yard area, for the Buck Lane property, rear portion of the property.
And in your expert opinion, is the requested variance necessary to allow for the proper design of the fence?
Yes.
And it's customary to provide fencing along rear property lines. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
And this space behind the home towards Buck Lane is the functional rear yard of this property, correct?
Yes, that is the case.
And what zoning relief is necessary to permit the proposed gate, pillar, and related fencing at the driveway entrance at Tunbridge Road?
That's a similar relief to have it in the front yard setback, but also to have it within the building setback line, because that exceeds the 2.5 foot height limitation.
And are there unique physical circumstances of the property which preclude strict compliance with the zoning code in regards to this gate?
It has an irregular shape, the narrowness of the lot, and that long and narrow strip really limits the house, doesn't have a good view of that, so there's security concerns with limiting access to that driveway.
And are you aware of any examples in the immediate area of similar gates?
At 140, just to the east of this site, 140 Tunbridge, there's a similar gate with pillars.
And turning your attention to Exhibit A8, is this a photo of the pillars and gate at 140 Tunbridge Road, which you just referenced?
Yes, it is.
And on the second sheet of this exhibit is the driveway entrance for 136 Tunbridge, which is the subject of this application, correct?
Yes, that is.
Okay. And in your expert opinion, is the location of the gate, and I should actually make mention to the board, we did submit a right to know request for 140 Tunbridge Road, which just came back today, and we have had a chance to review the documents, and this board granted similar relief to what we're requesting tonight for this gate at 140 Tunbridge Road. Turning back to Mr. Damon, in your expert opinion, is the location of the gate and the associated fencing as proposed required to allow the proper design and safe operation of this gate?
Yes, it is.
And in your opinion, will the proposed pillars obscure visibility at the driveway entrance to Tunbridge?
No, won't secure visibility for anyone using the road or anyone on the sidewalks or in that vicinity.
And in your opinion, would the requested variances alter the character of the neighborhood, impair the use or development of adjacent properties, or be detrimental to the public health, safety, and welfare?
In my opinion, they would not. Also on Buck Lane, there's similar front yard fences to what's proposed in that rear yard.
That's all the questions I have for Mr. Damon.
So David, what is the distance from the curb line to the gate?
It's about 27 feet. The gate was set to be 20 feet back from the back of the sidewalk.
And will the gates open inward or outward?
I believe they're opening outward, but I don't know that that's something that can be altered. I'm sure it can be altered to go either way.
Well, here's my concern. I want to make sure that when they pull a car in, while they're waiting for the gate to open, that the car's not on the roadway. You know, I should ask, will the gates be automated or manual?
Right now, they're proposed to be manual.
Okay, so that heightens my concern even a little more, because if a car's parked on the roadway and people are getting in and out of the car to go open the gate, the car's there longer, and now we have pedestrian traffic on a roadway that might not otherwise occur. Has any consideration been given to moving the entrance back a few feet?
I think that the Grahams would be agreeable to have it move back a few feet or to have the gates open inward.
Okay. So you would accept that as a condition of approval if the board were to approve the application, that the gates open inward
Yes.
toward the property? All right, I may have more questions. I generally reserve my own questions till last. So now I'm going to go to the board now. Jessica, do you have any questions?
I do. So the front gate that faces Tunbridge Road, is that simply straight across the driveway, or does it return and go back towards the house?
The gate there is 16 feet wide with 6-foot stone pillars on either side, similar to what's next door.
Mhm.
And then there's just a couple side sections of fence to prevent,
A vehicle or,
vehicle or discourage people from heading back there.
okay. But there's no fence on the shared property line with 132 Tunbridge or 140 Tunbridge?
There's an existing fence that's on the west side that extends down the property line. And then for 140, there's a fence that sits back off the property line a ways.
And then is the gate meant to be, will it be transparent? Is there visibility, or will it be a solid gate?
It's similar to what's next door. It's a black aluminum decorative type fence that's arched, almost almost exactly what's next door.
And that fence design, if you will, is that what's going to be around the front yard or the rear yard?
Yeah, along Buck Lane, again, it's a similar fence. It's a black aluminum decorative picketed type fence.
Okay. And on Buck Lane right now, are there any sidewalks on that street?
No, there aren't. It's a 30-foot cartway with 10-foot landscaped areas. Some people have landscaping very close to the roadway. Directly across the street's a wood fence at the right-of-way line, and then a little bit to the east is also another wood fence out on that right-of-way line.
Okay. And was any consideration given to pulling the fence closer to the pool?
I think, again, right now there's a row of some planning that was placed there, but again, the fence could come back. Right now it's back about a foot off of the right-of-way line, but again, it probably would be agreeable to move back a few more feet if the board would recommend that.
Okay. I don't have any other questions.
Okay, Jesse?
Jessica took my question, so I think I'm good at this point. But if I
Okay,
if I think of something, I will let you know. Thank you.
Ed?
Yes, I'm looking at the plan. Could you please detail for me, Mr. Damon, what exactly is going on at Tunbridge Road? Because your driveway doesn't seem to go all the way to the road.
Yeah, Tunbridge Road, and I guess that's why they're referring it to Circle. It was, so Tunbridge Road bears off a little bit to the right as the plan's oriented. And then there's a section of road that was vacated partially. So it sort of dead ends and provides access next door. So as you head east, it dead ends maybe about 10 feet beyond where we've drawn it, or somewhere in the vicinity of where we've located it. And what it was is a portion of a road that was vacated by the township as you go to the east.
I think I remember that with the neighboring property. It had a similar Mr. Nelson property. Yes, the question I have then is, you talked about the right of way, but is there a right of way shown on any of your plan drawings, exhibits?
Yeah, so you see the right of way for Tunbridge Road is illustrated as 50 feet wide as it curves off. And then that section of road is 50 feet wide that goes to the east. And the deeded property line is where it says, where the survey markers were found, pipe found, and there's 50 foot of frontage. It sits about 7 feet back from the back of curb line there, back of the sidewalk.
Okay, but I don't see anything on your plan that references right of way line or line type even, because there's two different line types shown on Buck Lane and on Tunbridge.
The dash line would be the right of way line, Ed. So the dash line where it says pipe found.
Okay, that's the right of way line. But there's not a similar one on Buck Lane.
Buck Lane's 50 feet wide, says since that's fully open, that's, yeah, the line is where it's 50 feet wide right there.
I don't know where.
And the cartway's inside of it.
So it would it be similar that the pins are on the right of way line?
Yeah,
Okay, got you. The fence, how high is it going to be on the back, around Buck Lane?
the plan calls for 5 feet high, but when I looked at the quote from the fence company, it's actually 4 feet is what's proposed on their quote. So it would be a 4-foot aluminum fence.
4 foot, okay, that's good, better. Will there be necessary to, I see on your aerial photo that there are trees like along Buck Lane and at the gate. Will any trees have to be removed?
No. No, no trees will need to be removed for the fence or the gate.
Okay, that's all I have.
Okay. Any other questions arise with you, Jessica?
No.
Jesse?
Sorry, just to reiterate it, the now proposed 4-foot aluminum fence is the black picket style that we saw in the exhibit from next door.
That's correct.
It's about a 4-inch on center, if I had to guess, picket spacing.
Yes.
Plus or minus. Okay. That's all. Thank you.
Okay. And my questions have already been addressed at the beginning. So, Daniel, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Yeah, I would ask that exhibits A6 through 8 be admitted.
Okay, they're admitted.
And I have nothing further.
And A8 is marked as one exhibit, but it's 2 pages.
We have it labeled as sheet 1 and sheet 2. Yeah.
Right. Okay. If there's nothing else from the board, then I'll ask if there's anyone present at this hearing that received certified mail that wishes to testify. Anyone that received regular mail? Any other residents of Haverford Township? Kelly, did you hear from any residents about this case?
I have not.
Okay. Bill, did I check off everything?
Yeah, the only thing I would bring up, and I apologize because I was mobile at the time, but
Sorry.
we are a,
Go with it. I'm okay with that. I know.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please? I couldn't hear it.
Yeah. Hold on 1 second.
I'm fine. No, everything's covered. Yes.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you left off the only thing I would bring up, and I apologize, but I didn't hear.
You can strike that. Bob's got it covered. Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Mr.
with
K,
that-
may I ask one more question? I'm sorry.
Yes.
Just thought. Since there was no public comment received, are the immediate neighbors on board with this project? Is that known?
We have not heard of any opposition to our project.
Were the plans presented to the neighbors?
I'm not sure if the plans were presented, Mr. Damon, if you know. I know
Not that I'm aware of, no.
the property was posted and notified as required by code.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay. With that, we'll close the record on this case, and a decision will be rendered either this evening or at our next regularly scheduled meeting on, was it March 4th? Is that right, Cal? March
That's
4th?
yes. March 4th.
All right.
If I have a question for the board on that, if the decision is rendered this evening, will it be on this Zoom? Will we be notified this evening? How does that work?
It'll be public. We're going to caucus with our attorney and have a few legal questions answered from our attorney. And then we'll reconvene publicly via this Zoom meeting, and the decision will be announced publicly. Secondly, Kelly would send out a letter to notify you tomorrow, or you could just call Kelly to find out if you don't hear it tonight.
Right.
I am working from home tomorrow, so the best way to get a hold of me is through email. But just shoot me a message, or I'll try to remember to reach out to you. And if you don't want to hang out, that's totally fine.
Sounds good. Thanks for your time, everyone.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kel, will you take us private and off the record, please, Kel?
I certainly can do that.
I know it's going to take a minute. We talked about the process. You need the text. Say, Kel?
He said he's working on it. Hold on.
Oh.
And now you're good.
Okay. We'll resume the meeting of the Haverford Township Zoning Hearing Board of Thursday, February 18th, 2021. We have two cases that we heard earlier this evening. I would ask, with respect to case Z18-27, the Haverford School, Ed, are you prepared to vote?
Yes, I am.
Jesse, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Jessica, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
And so am I. Jessica, would you please take that decision?
Sure. I make a motion to approve the request with the following conditions. The zoning order will only be extended to December 31st, 2021. And the modular temporary classrooms will be removed sooner than December 31st, 2021, if no longer required to satisfy CDC COVID guidelines.
Okay. Ed McGargy, how do you vote?
I concur.
Jesse?
I disagree.
I vote yes. So that application is approved 3-1. All right. The next case, Z21-4, Carlin and Brandon Graham. Ed McGargy, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Jessica, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
Jesse, are you prepared to vote?
I am.
And so am I. Jesse, would you please take that decision? And before we do that, I know I just asked if everyone's prepared to vote. Bill, do I need to read the entire description into the record? I did not do that for Haverford School.
I just copy and paste it into the transcript.
You do not.
Okay. Then Jesse, would you please take that decision?
With pleasure. With respect to application Z21-4, I would vote to grant the requested relief with the following conditions. No trees shall be removed as a result of the installation of the fence or gate. The gate shall be moved to be 18 feet from the right-of-way on Tunbridge Road /circle. The project shall be completed within 1 year of this approval and in accordance with the notes of testimony.
Okay. Ed McGargy,
I concur.
Jessica,
I concur, but I would add the condition that the gate be changed to swing inward.
Oh,
Thank you.
yes, I'm sorry, we forgot that, but yes.
Okay.
Do I need to
so
read that
Jesse,
again?
would you accept Jessica's suggested revision to your conditions?
I do accept that, yes, and I apologize for not including that the first time.
Jesse, we're a team. So, and I forgot about it too, and it was my question and my condition from my notes. So, so with that condition added, that the gate open inward toward the house off of Tunbridge. Ed McGargy, how do you vote?
I concur.
And Jessica?
I concur.
And so do I. So that application is approved 4-0. Any other administrative business that we need to take care of?
No, Bill has said that the minutes were, he's had a very hectic time with the weather and some other problems, so they are not ready for the meeting today.
Okay, so I suppose we'll do minutes at the next meeting.
Yes.
Anything else? Everybody good? Okay, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane.
Thank you.
Good to see you guys, if only via Zoom. I can't wait till we meet in person again. So,
Soon.
Sign up
Yeah.
for your vaccinations.
yeah. Well, good luck.
I'm happy
right.
I'm not driving tonight. So
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty nasty out there.
that's what I like about Zoom. You can continue to do these in bad weather.
Yeah.
Right.
Okie doke. Well, you guys all have a great night. Arlene, have a good night. We,
No, we can go, we can, you can adjourn the meeting. But we had our late joiner.
Hey.
Hey, Bill.
You're on mute, Bill.
Rhodes,
My
are you-
apologies.
Oh, man, you're gonna stand in the, well, first, let's do this. Bill, stay on. We are
Okay.
adjourned.
Okay.
Jeff, thank you very much.